Well,
Oh,
hello everyone and welcome. This is so exciting to have you all back. It is just such a wonderful honor, as always, to be here with Gail Whitlow, Grandma Gail Whitlow, and Grandpa Neil Monague. It's just so lovely to have you both here. I'm Sherry Sabel. I'm also with Grandmother's Voice, and we're just so happy to have you. Gail and Neil, do you want to introduce yourself? And I'm going to go in the back room while you guys have a little chat.
oh, okay.
Okay, I'm going in the back room as well.
The
Good luck,
bathroom,
Gail.
you mean? The
Good luck,
bathroom, you
Gail.
mean? Yeah.
Okay, Gail, go ahead. I'll wait for you.
All right. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. It's so nice that we're here in broadcast land and we're able to touch base and see you all. My name is Gail Whitlow. I'm from Six Nations of the Grand River Territory, Mohawk Nation, and Bear Clan. So Sego Sewakwego, Kahtine Nyongets. Kahtine means to take a lasso and throw it over the forest. And so look out, Neil. Look out, Neil. You're in for it tonight. And I'd like to just acknowledge that Renee had a death in the family, so she wasn't able to join us tonight. So I'm here taking her place, and those are big shoes to fill. Don't know if I could fill them, but I'm gonna do my best. So I will let Neil come and introduce himself, and then we'll become really good fast friends.
I don't know who's all on, but I think some of you may know who I am. I am a Chichok. I am Wabjashi, my clan. A Chichok means crane. Wabjashi means Martin clan, aka H. Neil Monague. And I am from the Bosley First Nations Christian Island, or we call it Chimnesing. And my condolences to my very good friend Renee and the loss in her family. And then I guess that's about all I have right now. So I'll just leave it there. And like people say, I know who I am. That I do a little bit of singing here and there. Not in Las Vegas. I don't have a sequined outfit. So
Are you trying to say you're Elvis or what?
Sometimes I introduce myself as OMGOOD.
Oh, well, Renee did prep me a little bit, and she says, "Oh, that Neil, he's got a lot to say. He's got a lot of jokes, and so you have to kind of look really closely to catch that seriousness." So here I am, looking to catch that seriousness. Hey, but I didn't know you were from Christian Island, and it's really nice that I know that. I spend some time up in Georgina Island, and so I'm sure you know a lot of people up that way as well. It's so beautiful in your home country or your home location there, and it's just a pleasure that we can communicate this way.
Yeah. So I want to, before we start, I'm going to light this smudge for everybody. And I also want to light it for my good friend Renee, and letting her know that I'm thinking about her, and hopefully everybody else is, because just to honor her, and the honor of the person that passed on. So with the smudge, I smudge everybody. Virtual smudge. Just keep your eye. If you understand this, it's kind of helps us get going, get our minds flowing, get the heart going, because sometimes we haven't done this for a while, and thinking about what I wanted to say, and that's why I said, okay, well, I'll let the lady go first, and which I will do, but then I also want to honor, do that bear song for her and for everybody else that needs that healing. And we all know that the bear song is a healing song, and we call upon that white bear to come down to be with our good friend Renee, and hope that those things that are good thoughts go to her. makwa uga binagose ane do makwa ogi shwen megna we aya ho Yahweh oh hey oh aya ho Yahweh oh hey oh Yahweh oh hey Yahweh Yahweh oh hey oh Yahweh oh hey Yahweh Yahweh oh hey oh Ani do makwa o gabi na goze Ani do makwa o gisho and make
Ooh, I know she can feel the power in that song.
So,
And I just have to share that we have a drum group here at Ancestral Voices, and we had it prior to COVID, and we're just going to get it back up. And that was one of the songs that we learned. So as you were singing, I was really wanting to sing with you, but if we weren't on air, I probably would. I would have, but yeah, that's such a powerful song, and you can really feel it deep down in your core. So Neil, we don't know that much about each other, so I guess we're going to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do. So I come from Six Nations, as I said, and I have a healing center here. It's called Ancestral Voices Healing Center, and at the healing center here, it's kind of blending the old traditional with new age or newer holistic alternative practices as well. And part of the oldness comes from, hey, I remember the day when we came and spent time at Grandma's house, and Grandma's house was such a beautiful place to be because, well, it had no hydro, and it had, we had to go to the well, and we had to use the outhouse, and I was just glad I was young enough that I didn't have to get up and start that fire, because boy, was it cold, and we had to start that fire on those cold mornings. But there was just something so special, about those times. They were full of, I guess I would call it a different sense of peace than we experience now. And in that sense of peace, there was so much that we learned, because we had to learn how to do a little bit of work. And I think sometimes that is missing in today's grandchildren and great grandchildren, and our nieces and our nephews. That sense of work was instilled really deep. My parents were both really hard workers. My mother, she was a registered nurse, and so we would live in Buffalo, and we would come down to the res on the weekends and during the summer. And my father, he worked in, I guess you could call it, in road construction, and he also worked at the chemical plants in Niagara Falls, and that life kind of took his life early, working with, the Love Canal area, and all of those chemicals, all of those that worked with him, they had a short life because of, the toxins from working in that field. So yeah, it was like really wonderful being a child. We would do a lot of visiting, and Grandma's was always the place. So we would have our Sunday dinners, and our Sunday dinners were always filled with company. So we never know who was going to come up, what relatives were going to come from far away. But on both sides of the family, we would go to one grandma's house, and then we go to another grandma's house, and we'd be comparing dumplings. So the other day, my daughter made some dumplings, and I says, "Oh, you're making dumplings the way my grandma Hazel would have made them," because my my dad loved those dumplings, and then my mother's mother would make the big fluffy dumplings, and so my dad didn't like them so much, and so there was always this little chit chat they would have about the way that the dumplings were made. But boy, it brought back memories because well, I liked both of them. They both had their advantages, but there was always there was just always this playing that went on about the different type of dumplings that would be served. So in today's, I guess, time, we have such a um, we have the ability to resort back to that, but for whatever reason we seem to be so much busier for whatever reason, whether it be we have too much technology on our plate now. We have iPads, and we had computers, and we have all of these things that instead of going home to home and communicating that way, now we can just turn on Facebook, and when we turn on Facebook we can align with whoever it is. Advantages and disadvantages, but looking back at those old days when the as soon as the stove was on, then the hot water was put on, and there was coffee made that way or tea made that way, but there was always just this really good uh, feeling. And I just have to say, though, I'm kind of glad that we resorted to indoor bathrooms, because it certainly did get cold running out to those outhouses. But I know that I could survive. I really could survive because I've done it, and of course then we have those fasting camps, and all those ceremony camps, and there's just something so beautiful about the sacred walk of ceremony. And you certainly don't miss the conveniences when you're in that frame of mind. You're really glad to be out there and doing what you're called to do and following your path. So I'll let you speak a little bit now, and then I guess maybe we'll just continue on to see what else we're going to share tonight.
I don't know. There's not much to say. Your turn.
Nope, your turn.
Ja, Chaknish Nakas, Wabshin do them. Which when the Minagi, which Miko and we begin and getting Mabangi. Pangina Gini Mekanaman, we do Kasian. It is a shame to do it with Muck, just when I met up a dick Nishakanashim since the Tago and Gini Nektayan. I asked for Creator to forgive me that I got to speak this language so people can understand what I'm saying. And I give thanks to Jody for inviting me to be part of this again, and to Sherry who's back there somewhere. I want to thank you guys very much for the opportunity again to talk and just give a little bit about my understanding of certain things. Some of you probably heard me say that I started my journey on this path in 1988, and I've come that far in this. I'm still young on this trail, even though I'm old. And it's a different world. It's a different world. It's a different world, really, and everything revolves around our Creator. And Creator, he's the first one that we need to make sure that we have contact with him before our day begins. And in the morning, when we talk about those things, we have to just, some people say, I don't know how to pray. I said, well, all you have to say either miigwech or nyao, or whatever language you say, meaning thank you, greetings, and all this, and that's all. That's the beginning of everything right there. Once you acknowledge Creator, even just one word, he knows it. He knows. But if you know a good prayer, then you use it, right? You use that prayer. And sometimes I do pray, and like today we had a great big giant windstorm over here. It only lasted probably I don't know, maybe 10-15 minutes, but more the rain never come. I had to pull out of the lineup to go to the mainland and come back because I didn't want to leave my granddaughter here by herself during that time. So not long after that, it just came and it went, and blue skies. And those are the things that when I think about things like that, when I know there's a storm coming or a storm, they call it the storm within, and that's inside you, right? It's the storm that's inside you, and sometimes you have to use everything possible to let that storm subside, because if that storm continues on in your life, it's going to be a rough life for you. And when I talk to the elders about certain things, and the people that have walked this path longer than I have, and we talk about those kind of things, and making sure that we're going to be all right. Because for me, actually, it was an elder who told me that you got to look after yourself first before you can look after anybody else. We all know that part. We all know that. So by that, using the smudge, we're looking after ourselves, trying to clear that storm that's starting to build inside. And for me, I'm a guy that likes to have fun, and there's a lot of people who don't. There's a lot of people that don't want to have fun. You can tell. But sometimes once they get rolling, I know they're not. I know they're not wanting to laugh, but by the end of the session, they're starting to laugh because they're trying to defeat me with their. They're trying to defeat me with their. I don't know, looks, I guess, and look angry, and but I just keep right on going because that's just the way I work. That's just the way I am. I'm not saying that I'm the only one that does that. There's a lot of people that do that. I like to have fun, especially when when I do circles. I put out the what do you call that before you start everything? Housekeeping. I think that's what they call it. The housekeeping in circles, right? For me, there are people, Neil, I don't have a skirt. And I say, well, that's all right. I said, come on in anyway. And then sometimes somebody will say, hey, Neil, I don't have any tobacco. I said, don't worry about the tobacco. I got lots right there. See it in that bowl? You can use some of that. And so when we look at culture, we look at culture. It's something that really we need to pay attention to it. Really, to be honest with you, we really need to pay attention to that culture, because in that culture, there's so much things that we can do to help our people. And for me, my way of helping is through song, prayer, and smudge. And sometimes I'll do I don't know. It's similar to Reiki, but I use the cultural part, the traditional part of all of it when I help people out. And maybe one day we'll all meet together and sit in the circle, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And those are the things I do. And I don't turn anybody away. I don't turn anybody. And that's not one of the things. There was a lady I met a while ago, and I can't remember her name. I really can't remember her name. I was invited to do down in Toronto. I was invited to do a circle. I think it was a class, but they were all women, and we were talking about that wheel, the medicine wheel. And I showed the medicine wheel. I drew the medicine wheel, and I, put the four colors of man upon that paper. And during the break time, she came to me. She says, "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Sure, talk to me." Yeah. She's a beautiful Mohawk lady, and I still see her sometimes in my mind because of her gray hair. And she was fairly tall. And for the life of me, I cannot remember her name, but she gave me one of the best teachings of all. She told me about that circle, because there's only four colors on it, right? And when we talk about culture, we look at that circle, and it's round, and it's divided into like a 4-piece pie, and each one of them. And then when in our teachings we talk about that, the Creator put these 4 beings in different parts of Mother Earth. Anyway, getting back to this beautiful Mohawk woman that I met a long time ago. And she continued. So she says she drew 2 lines down from east to west, and then from north to south. So in that circle, we had more lines. And she says, sometimes we forget about these ones, she said. I looked at her for a moment. And then she says, we forget about the ones of mixed marriage. That's when all the bells and whistles started to come. And that's true. That's true. And we talked a little bit about that before the break. In that little short break that we had, that 15-minute break, I learned probably a whole 2 days of teachings from her in that 15 minutes. And oh, I wish I could remember her name. I'd like to meet her again and just thank her for that, because now I use that. I asked her if I could use it, and she says, "You go right ahead. You go right ahead." And and so I use that when I do what I do when I do what I do. If you can catch on to that.
Yeah.
I think the beautiful thing about culture is that we've got to remind ourselves that everything out there has a purpose. We have a purpose. You and I have a purpose. This whole group has a purpose. But we have to start to visualize that purpose when we look forward. We always look. There's a lot of people, they look at life this way. When you know what that is, what they call tunnel vision, and that's how what they have to turn their whole head this way, right? And they look the other way, the same thing. But when you think about yourself, you think about you think um, about what's ahead of you, but you also look to the side of you. And there was a lady I met, and she talked about that, and she says, if we think about ourselves and we concentrate on the inside of us, the mind and the heart, everything and then we have the what do you call it now? I forget what I'm saying. I'm old, that's why. If we have the ability to sit quietly and close our eyes and visualize things, and you begin to see yourself in the mind and the heart, and relax, this thing will go away. Then as you spread your arms out like this and find a spot on the wall and concentrate on that spot and open your eyes, you can actually see your fingers moving. You can actually see your fingers moving. But you got to have the patience, and you have to be kind to yourself when you do that. That's another part of that culture I was taught. So that way you can see what's out onto the left and the right side of you. You can see what's there when you look ahead. So that way you're not blindsided on either side. Because sometimes, like I say, when we do our culture, we're looking like this. We're not seeing the full picture on each side. And a lot of things. There's a lot of things I've been asked if I do. If I've been asked if I do sweats, and they asked me if I could, and I said to myself, "Well, let me find out." And I got to go ahead to do it. So on October the 8th, I'm going to be doing a sweat here in my community, and because sweats are needed to help relax the mind and the heart, relax the body, get all those things out of the way, right? And so when I was given that go ahead to do it, I've done them before. I think I've done four of them, and it was quite interesting. The first one I was nervous. Second one I was good, and the next two I just breezed right away. Just like I belonged there. And that's the beauty of our cultures. That's the beauty of our cultures. Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, Cree, everybody's got that cultural inside them. It's just that we got to move. We got to talk to ourselves sometimes to see if we're able to do it. And a lot of people are able to do it, and others aren't. And the ones that aren't are the ones that come to you to talk to you about these things. And when sometimes people talk to me about, "Hey Neil, I have a problem," I said, "Well, what's your problem?" I'm still hurting from the loss, and I'm sure my very good friend Renee is going through that same process. And then I finally realized, what he was talking about, was the loss within his family, the grief. Now, and then one day I asked a question, and I was told, is that sometimes we have to embrace We have to embrace grief to continue on with our journey. That's what I was told. And that's what I give the message. Because the message came from over there and it came to me and I gave it back out. Because, for me, and a very good friend of mine too, she had lost her husband. And I had lost my wife that year. Actually, I went to a NADAP conference up in Sault Ste. Marie, and that's where I met them. And some of you may know, some of you may know Carla Miracle. And I shouldn't use their name, but she got it. She'll understand. Because her and I are very good friends, and so we had a little chat up there, and they all gave me a hug because they knew that I lost my wife. Yeah, my wife died 2016, July 4th, 2016 at 4:20 in the morning. I still remember. And we talked about that. And I told her that, I'm having trouble. She says, yes, you will. You'll have trouble, she said. And what'll happen is that you go through this numbness for the first year. You'll go through that numbness for the first year. And wow, she was right. And then she said after that first year, you come out of that, and then all of a sudden, reality hits. And wow, and it did. After I came out of that first year, and that I finally, really realizing that my wife is no longer here. When I used to go out doing work, like, go out and work for OFIFC and go to the training or go somewhere for a week and come in the house and I used to yell, Wilma, I'm home. I'd yell. And she says, is that you, hon? Are you home? She'd yell back down. And sometimes when I go out and I come home, that's what I say. Sometimes I'll do that. Wilma, I'm home. And there's nobody calling back. And that hurts. That hurts. It really hurts. But you know what? I have people that I talk to when that comes up, and that's the beauty of this grief. That when I embraced it, and I finally realized I have to. It'll never go away. It'll never go away. But you can deal with it. I can anyway. I use my sponge. I use my drum, where I talk to people. If I get into a little rut that I can't get out of, I either call somebody, or I go on FB and talk to people. And that's what helps me through, right? And I don't know. I can't tell you how many people I know, but I know a heck of a lot of people all across Ontario, Manitoba. There's some in Saskatchewan, a few in Alberta, quite a bit in BC. And I got to go east too. I got a couple of people I know, and one is in Newfoundland, and the other one is in Nova Scotia. The other two are in Nova Scotia. So if I need to talk to somebody, I'll tap into them and say, hey, I need to talk. Okay, let's go. And then we start talking or chatting or go. But when I'm around here, I go golfing. That's another part of me that I enjoy golfing and enjoy being outside. But going back to this culture is that, we've got to remind ourselves this culture is, you can take it on and for some people it might hurt them because you're taking on too much. You got to move slowly through it. Okay? Very slow. Take what you can. And another teacher told me that. Take what you can and leave the rest behind for later on. So take your time when you want to learn it. And that happened to me. I got very confused in things when I first started this journey. But it wasn't for my wife and a few other people that they settled me down. And I was able to move slowly through that part of learning, because learning is forever. Learning is forever. It's like our path, like a sacred path that we walk on. Each one of us, that sacred path is forever. It's a forever path. Also, life itself, the forever life. Eh? Because when we start off with the spirits by Creator, we come into this earth. Life is blown into the shell, and all of a sudden we're inside this shell. All of a sudden we're born, and we walk upon the earth for how long? I don't know. And when we do that, that's the beauty of this walk. This walk. That's what I think about sometimes is this walk. And so what I want to do now before I turn it over to Gail is I want to sing this song, "Walking with Creation," and just to remember that creation is always there, and we need to talk to them. I remember the first time when I started my journey, and I had one of the teachers that came here, brought the sweat lodge to the island. He was a very good friend, him and his wife, and he told me what to do. If you're having trouble, take your tobacco. Go in the back of go in the backyard. He said, you got a lot of bush there, a lot of trees to talk to. I went back there with my tobacco, but I look. You know what I did though? I looked around like this, to see who was looking. And then that's that shyness, right? That's that shyness. That's what holds back sometimes. That's what holds us back from walking in. And I want to sing this song, "Walking with Creation." And, don't be shy. Don't be shy because this is a song that talks about walking with creation, our Creator. And I'll explain it when I'm done, or I'll. Shamanado, shamanado, giganona, mosean, giganona, shamanado, oh. Mishonas, giganona, mosean, giganona, mishonas, oh. Lugamasnan, giganona, mosean, giganona, lugamasnan, oh. Stuck a big flag, giganona, mosean, giganona, stuck a big flag, oh. Christian, giganona, mosean, giganona, Christian, oh. Matego, giganona, mosean, giganona, matego, oh. Nungokan, giganona, mosean, giganona, nungokan, oh. We are,
Woo.
and that song is called "Walking with Creation." And that's part of our culture. That's who we are, right? That's who we are. Because when this what used to be a beautiful body is now getting smaller. No, I used to look like Hulk Hogan. I'm just kidding. I was more like Pee Wee Herman when I was younger. Anyway, so this body that we have is our sacred bundle, because this bundle in here, this body is a bundle, because what's inside this body is what we carry in our bundles, in our bags that we have. We carry the medicines. We carry our eagle feathers. We carry our shakers. We carry our copper cups. We carry this. We carry that. Whatever that is that we have, and the same thing with this body. We've got a heart, 2 lungs, kidneys, liver, pancreas. Every one of them is very sacred because they're being used for something. I'm not a doctor, but we have to take care of this body. And I know for me, I should be, taking care of actually, I'm exercising a little bit now as I get older. But when this song comes, this song is talking about walking with creation. We're talking about, I'm talking to my creator as I'm walking along. I'm talking to my grandfather as I'm walking along. I'm talking to my grandmother as I'm walking along. I'm talking to Mother Earth as I'm walking along. I'm talking to the animal kingdom as I'm walking along. I'm talking to the plant kingdom as I'm walking along. And I'm talking to the star world as I'm walking along. Because every once in a while, those guys out there are helping us. Everything, all of creation is helping us, and we need that help now. It's kind of like that when they talked about the medicines, that the medicines are very important to our people. I remember one of the elders from not long ago, but another elder that heard another elder talking about these medicines. He said that our medicines are not going to be strong enough to deal with the diseases that are coming. So we have to use the Western medicine and our medicines together. And that's what I do. I use both. Because I'll be going for second time in in fact, forever, I'll be taking my flu shot. Because I was told to by one of the elders. And somebody that's older than me, he said, you should get a flu shot. My late wife was always telling me, "Hon, get your flu shot." No, I'm all right. My immune system is great, I said. Well, last year I took my first flu shot. I was all right. I lived through everything. I'm still here. Anyway, I don't want to take too much time because Gail was really biting at the bit there, wanting to talk. Okay, Gail.
Good job. You're doing a good job. Well, you make me want to dance. And tomorrow we have Longhouse. We start our big corn ceremonies or our harvest ceremonies tomorrow, and that's our opportunity to, shake a leg and to, get our 10,000 steps in. And it's always, it's just exciting. So I have my grandchildren calling, saying, "Are you going to Longhouse, Grandma? Yep. Can I come?" So they're all getting geared up, to listen and to learn and to, be part of something so powerful. And yeah, so that's what you did. You excited that energy within. So with everything you've said, there's so many ways that I could continue on. I mean, every time you mentioned something, there was a story I could think of, of things that I could share. But I think you touched on something that concerning death, and I just want to share a couple of beautiful things. Sometimes I travel, and if I have to go to a funeral in a community, like um, the one powerful one was in New Mexico. We were told that not to grieve. They says, um, share all the good memories that you have of my father. And so we sat and we shared, and he had people from everywhere, and we sat and we had such a good time while we were there. And it was just sharing all of the memories that we had and the good times that we had, with him. And that it was certainly something different for us. We're taught that, we're taught to grieve and to, hold it in kind of. And that I'm glad you're friends with Mohawks, because, well, actually I'm a Mohawk as well. And that 1 year piece that you talked about, it's about allowing grief to work its way through your body. So the first 6 months, they're kind of like, the tears and the memories and all of that. And then the next 6 months are kind of like, okay, I'm ready to let go now. I can let go. I can do this, and so when the 1 year comes, then you release and let go, and then you start to live again. So you allow yourself to kind of live in that space, and then when that 1 year comes, you free yourself, because you can't hold back the process of the afterworld and the work that one has to do in the afterworld. And I don't know, it's been a few years since I've come from the spirit world now, and I'll be going back again. Past that. I'm certainly not going to live, to be 200 years old. So, I'm working my way towards that door again, or that portal again. And I just want to share a beautiful, well, two beautiful experiences I had. So my brother passed away, and he was 33 years old, and he died of a gunshot, and it was something that I didn't even know he held a gun, let alone, Anyways, it was just kind of a really quick and something that happened. It was an accident, and at the time, I guess I was in a state of, I guess you could call it depression. I had children, and I was pregnant, and things weren't going so well with the partner and myself. And so I knew that I was in this place of grief, and I knew that I had to get over it, and I had to work through my personal stuff, as well as, the loss of my brother. And so at the time, I knew that meditation really, really helped me, because I had done that practice, in my younger days. And so when the time came, we're not supposed to be alone for the first 10 days, because we're supposed to eat with the spirit. And, at 10 days, there's kind of like a feasting, and we give away things from from the person who has passed on, and we have our last meal, and then the speaker talks about, hey, you are no longer with us, and you kind of go on your journey. So we have a 10-day feast, and we have a 1-year feast. So I knew I had to be alone, and so I went to my home, and I was just gonna take, I think maybe I don't even know if I took one breath, but I took a nice deep breath, getting ready to, do this meditation. And all of a sudden, the sky opened, and I could feel the energy of heaven, or creator's land, or, whatever you want to call it. I call it, creator's land. And I know that feeling. It was the most beautiful, the most serene, the more comforting. There's no words to describe it unless you feel that. And so on the other side over here, there was stars, and my brother was floating like a little Casper. And because way back in the day, we didn't have these fancy outfits when we were born. We had these little white Casper, like, I don't know what you call them, night clothes or whatever that we were in. We didn't have like fancy clothes. So there he was, and he was kind of like in that Casper looking gown, and he gave me a message, and then zoom, he went back to that light, and the sky closed. But to me, it was so beautiful, and it told me a lot of things. It told me that uh, that you don't really go, and of course we all know that, but to have that experience, it really helps you to understand that in a deeper way. So even though there was, the grief and the sadness and the tears, and for a couple years, 3 years, when you think about those memories, I still remember that experience, and I still remember the love I felt from that from Creator's Land. So when it's my turn, if I'm going there, there's going to be no problem. It's like, okay, my turn. See you later. I won't have an issue with it, because I could feel that light. So that helped me through my grief. And so the next time that I felt something as spectacular with my family was when my mother passed. So my father had passed early. I think he was 60 years old when he passed. And he had died, of course, from cancer, from working in those chemical valleys. And he was cremated. He says, I want to be cremated, he said, because I don't want to have all of that stuff crawling all over me. I know it's in that ground, he says. So he was cremated, and it was always known that when my mom passed, that then we were going to put the ashes over my father's grave, and or my mother's grave. And so that day came, and my mother suffered from Alzheimer's. I mean, she had a problem, I guess, dealing with grief and loss, because so many people had passed on. And so when she passed, my sister and I stayed afterwards, because we had to pour, and well, some other family members too. We had to pour the ashes over, well, not only my my mother and father, or my mother, but also over my brother, and my aunts and uncles, and my grandmas and grandpas, and all those that were buried there. So we did that. And then um, me and my sister started to sing a traveling song. And as soon as we started to sing, it was like there was this beam of light, and it was as wide kind of as the casket. This beam of light came down, and my mom, her arms went like this, and there was one being on this side and one being on this side. The hands came, and they took her, and I'm telling you, it was the most beautiful experience, because my mom was free from the chain she was in. She died from Alzheimer's, and that was really hard to watch. But those experiences changed my view totally of death in the afterworld. And so I think about, all the beauty, and one of my teachings was, you've got to look for that beauty, because we're so used to looking down. We don't look up to see, the beauty that surrounds us, and even though we have nature, sometimes we don't even let ourselves immerse ourselves in that to get that healing that we can. So sometimes you have to have experiences that help you to realize these things. And so those were experiences that taught me so much in those 5 to 10 second visions. And so I'm really thankful that, I've had that. And I'm really thankful that I do the work I do, because many times I'm, I, I guess you might say I work on the other side, or, I see things from the other side, and it's really powerful to me. So when it is my turn, I'm not going to have any worry. Um, and so I know that I have work to do here, and we all have a path that we follow. And so one of the powerful experiences from my life too has been um, listening to not only my elders. I mean, I have traveled a lot. I've been fortunate enough to do so, and I have learned so much. And one of my elders said, he says, I travel all over the world. He says, and we go to these events. He says, and they're so beautiful. He says, good conversation, good company, and all of those things. And he said, so we then go home. And he says, and when we go home, he says, that's it. Nothing continues. He looked at me and he says, your job is to make sure that things continue. I go, what? He says, oh, yes, that's your job. You got to make sure that things continue. And so we had been working on, kind of like a couple of bigger type projects. And so then he passed away. And when he passed away, I had to think about, oh my gosh, what does he mean by that? I thought he was going to be here to, guide and to help me with this, and he's winking from the other side now. And there are many times that I see him, and he'll help me still. So when he passed, we had to analyze, I guess, a lot of the teachings, because they weren't like they were like real long lectures. They were words, they were sentences, they were just events or different things, and we had to figure out how do we continue that work. So what we did was we decided to form grandmother circles. And grandmother circles came to mind because grandmothers have that wisdom. And we know that grandmothers have so many life experiences that they're able to learn and share those experiences. So we started to create those grandmother circles, and we went to all over the place. We were in Denmark and Poland and England and Scotland, and all we traveled, a lot. And it wasn't our job to change things and make things different. It was only our job to plant seeds. So as we traveled to these communities, it was simply about, this is something that we have in our culture, but we're inviting you to go deeper into your culture and learn more about what your ancestors did. And as we did so, different grandmother circles started to spring up. And so that's kind of like a little bit too, like with grandmother's voice. It's kind of like the same thing. So the other circles that we formed, they were called, we ended up calling them Grandmother's Circle the Earth, and so we still have like all of those connections, and we still communicate with all of those people around the world that we I guess and help to enlighten that beauty of their culture within. So grandmother's voice is also that same type of feeling where the wisdom of the grandmothers is not something that we take lightly, because really there's been a lot of struggle, there's been lot of sadness, there's been a lot of tears, there's been a lot of hardship as we share and do our work. But we're to a place where we can collaborate with and have tea with the grandfathers and the grandmothers, and we're just available just to share experiences and to help create some of the loopholes that we see that kind of need a little bit of direction. And grandmothers all over the planet are realizing that as a grandmother, I'm not done yet. As a grandmother or grandfather, I have a lot of work yet ahead. And it is true, you certainly get busier when you get to that age. It's like, wow, you think, oh, when I'm 65, I'm just gonna like retire and I'm going to travel. Well, traveling hasn't stopped, and traveling is all about movement. And as long as you're moving, and as long as things are, I guess, coming to you. And so the other aspect of that is my pipe. So I'm what they might call a pipe carrier too. So my pipe has taken me on so many journeys that I can't even, we don't have enough time to even begin into that conversation. But I'm just sharing these things because we we have to really kind of look at the structures of our societies and our communities and see that we really did have a beauty when we lived and we worked, and we were a community. And as the communities were broken up with residential school and the 60s scoop, and we had lost so many different um, relatives, they got lost in the systems, and they have a hard time coming back sometimes, because it's really hard to find your way when you've never been part of a community. You feel scared, and you feel fear, and you feel a lot of things when you're trying to you know find your people again, find your relatives. And so saying that, I like that story, Neil, you told about your other Mohawk friend who talked about that mixed blood, and talked about how is it that we have to move forward. Well, we have to recognize that all of us have no control over our birth parents. We're here and we have to live. And I had one beautiful friend who said, I am a combination of all the races. And she says, and I love it, because she had, the four colors of man as her background, and she was living life, to the fullest. And um, and even as I better watch me too. I can speak too. I better like quit telling some of these stories and maybe give Neil some more response time here. But I mean, to me, it's about finding that beauty in life and situations, and as we move forward, the more that we can move along in a good way with, and help along their path, I think the more happiness is created in our lifetime. So saying that, Neil, I guess we're getting to know each other just a little bit better now, and when we actually do meet in person, that'll be a real um, inspiring experience, I think. So I'll hand it over back to you.
Wow, I like that. I like that. The one about the brings back a memory from when you saw your brother
Mm.
in that spiritual form. Two things happened to me after my wife passed away. I don't know if I told this to anybody. I think I may have the very first time that we did with this program, tea with no
Dada.
grandmother's voices. Hey,
Yeah, tea with
tea
Dada.
with Toda, tea with Toda,
Dada.
Doda. Oh,
Dada.
okay.
That's grandmother. Yes.
Then that memory came back when you were talking about your brother and the memory of my wife passing away. I went to Sault Ste. Marie after she passed. I think my wife passed right after I got elected to council. I was, I ran for council and I got in, and she was sick with cancer, and she died July the 4th, just before the inauguration happened. And got in, I went to a meeting, and it was tough. It was a very tough situation I was in, and I wanted to leave. I wanted to leave the council and bring the other guy forward, but I was asked not to. This will help you, they said. And so about a couple of days later, we had a council meeting, and they asked me if I wanted to go to Sault Ste. Marie to the police meeting, I believe it was. And I didn't want to go. I just couldn't. I didn't feel like going there because I wanted to be closer to my wife, who was buried up the hill in that graveyard, and forever, for the life of me. Finally, they talked me into it, and they said it might help you. So I said, this trip might help you. It's a funny thing. I don't remember the trip driving up there. I remember arriving at Sault Ste. Marie. And, I got home. I got there. And I usually called my wife and telling her that I arrived safely. So I called anyway. I talked to my daughter, who was here. I told her that I arrived safely. And the hardest thing was sitting there, and that my wife wasn't there, and I'm thinking about her, thinking hard. Why am I doing it? Why am I here? So this has to do with an angel. This has to do with an angel, and I believe in angels. I may because they are there. They are there, and then for me, like it's whether I travel this cultural road or not, there is something there. They're there to protect us. They're there to watch over us. They're always there, and like those hands that you may have seen, pulling your mother. Is it your mother or brother?
Yeah, my mother. My mother. Yes.
Yeah, pulling your mother up, and I believe those were the angels pulling her, helping her up.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, going back, and then so finally, I decided to go for a walk. It had just finished raining. It was still raining when I went over to that little mall in Sault Ste. Marie, right by the St. Mary's River. I went for a walk through that mall and thinking, what am I doing here? I was just kind of confused, but finally I left the mall and I walked along the water's edge, went back to my room. This was around maybe 4 o'clock, I have to say, maybe later. And And it was getting dark anyway. So, and I'm sitting at the window, and I'm thinking about my wife. All of a sudden, the clouds, there's clouds, dark clouds, and all of a sudden, this little hole started to form in the clouds, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And oh, this is something though. This is really and I believe, I know what I saw. It became like a square, like a window, perfect window. I could see the other side. I could see the clearing over there. I could see the sun because it was behind this white haze. See? So I was able to look there. So I could see the grandfather's son sitting there. After a little while, I'm thinking hard, why is that happening? And all of a sudden, on the bottom right-hand corner, this part came up, and it slowly drifted up, and it went up to the center. And God, as creator is my witness, it formed into an angel. I could see it. Perfect. The head, the wings, and then come down like that. And then I said, and what I said next was, I said, "Hun, you got your wings." And all of a sudden, right after I said that, there was that the sun was, I don't know what was causing it, but there was like a gold all the way around this figure of an angel, a gold outline. And I watched that for a while. I watched it for a while. And then finally, and I said, well, I'm going to lay down. I'm tired. And for the life of me, I couldn't find my phones because I had a council phone and I had my own personal phone, and I couldn't find them. I wanted to take a picture because I said, nobody's going to believe me. But I know what I saw. I can still see it in my head. I can still see it in my mind. And then when I looked out the window after a while, it was gone. And I laid down and I went to sleep. I don't know, I must have slept right through. I felt better the next day. I was able to do the meeting, have fun with the boys, have fun with the old fellas. And we had a good chat. And, like I said, I believe in angels. I believe they're there. They're like a guide for us, even though we have our spirit animals. And, when creation was made, everything was put in its place. Everything that we can think of is there. There are things that are there that we do not think of. And when I look into the sky at nights, I can see the stars. They're twinkling. Those astrophysicists, they say it's a light shining, so suns or something shining off, bouncing off, reflecting off their. But I don't think that's what that is. I think there are ancestors that were placed in those stars to watch over us as we sleep at night. A special place for them. And when I look out there and I see them, I feel good. Maybe my wife was there. I don't know. And you know what? And then when I think of it, and then after a while, I feel good again. I feel better. But the grief will still be with me regardless. But if it comes, I deal with it. I embrace it. Then I let it go and move on. I go golfing. I go have fun. I joke around with people. I pull their legs, make them taller. And and that's the beauty of it, and so I can deal with it. I can deal with it now. Now I can say, I know how you feel when you lose somebody. I understand what you're feeling. I can honestly say that now because I've gone through it. And the beauty of it though is that I look at my grandchildren, I see my mom. I see my wife there. I have a young boy, a young grandson, my biological grandson. He sticks to me like glue, like peanut butter and jam. He comes to visit. He takes over my bed and watches his own show on TV. My TV, Papa. My TV, Papa. And his truck is my truck is his truck now too. That's his truck. He sits up. He stands up on the front on the when we go. I don't drive fast on the island, but he stands there, looks out the window. He looks at everything. He looks at creation. Papa, what's that? Where? I said, oh, that's somebody made a pile of sand there. They're doing the roads. Oh yeah, with the excavator, Papa? Yeah, excavator. He knows all about those big machines. And we go for a ride. He talks a lot. Oh man, we can travel 2 miles to the lighthouse. He talks all the way there. Because he's of mixed marriage as well. He's a Newfoundlander and an Ojibwe. And and I'm glad that I learned that teaching from this beautiful Mohawk lady that I cannot remember her name. Somebody help me. Who is it? And you know what? But then I think about her, and I can see her, but I don't know her name. I wish I knew her name. If anybody in virtual land, it was at that motel just on Jarvis and something. I can't remember the other street. It was a motel there, hotel, and they had to park your car or vehicle, and they had to close the gates. You had to park it down to about a half a block down from the hotel. If anybody remembers that, anybody been there, please help me if I remember her name. But so the thing is, but then I like I said, I enjoy enjoy doing what I do. I enjoy helping people, and and then sometimes when I get to talk to somebody by themselves, I said, what we say here stays here. That's the other part of that. Right? That's the other part of it. And and that's the promise I give them. Whatever we say here stays here. And that's true, because sometimes people ask me what they say. I look at them and say, I'm sorry to say this, but it's really none of your business. And I'm kind when I say that. I don't yell at them or nothing, because I don't yell at people unless it's my daughters. But I speak in a good way when I yell at them. Oh, Bonico. So yeah, so and that's the beauty of what I do. I like to have fun, because you cannot do culture unless you have fun. Yeah, kind of like, what's his name there? What's that comedian's name?
Don Birdstick.
That's the guy.
Don Birdstick, yeah.
Oh, that guy makes me laugh. And then one day I was sitting there watching everybody. And everything that Don Burnstick said about the women laughing, they hit each other. Oh, they throw their arms up and they hold on to their stomach, And oh man, he was so right. And it makes you. I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing at what Don Burnstick said and how true that became at one of the conferences that we had. And we had so much fun. And then that's the beauty of it. And then culture is actually fun. If you look at culture, you just dissect the word culture. There's a lot of stuff in there that we never really talk about. We never really talk about that. If we dissect culture, take the word culture, and separate it. There's so much things behind that door. I can only take you so far myself. When I talk to people, I can only take you as far as that door. I can't open the door for you. You have to be able to walk through there yourself. Once you're through there, then you call me in and I'll help you walk through. And that's the part of who we are. One of my the first woman teacher I ever had was from Birch Island. And she was the very first woman teacher I had. Her name was Lillian Pedawanakut.
Yeah.
She's passed away now. But oh, her voice. There was no, it was so soft. She was soft spoken. You really had to listen to what she said. And that's what one of those teachings is, listening. Use this. That's why they're there. They're here, right? I remember Gail was talking about young people. It's hard to guess. It's hard to get the young people to do things. And for me, when I start moving stuff in heavy, then all of a sudden these young guys come helping me. Here, Neil, we'll do that for you. Oh wow! And I'm surprised. I'm very surprised by that. I guess they have the teaching to help the old folks. But I feel left out then, because I used to do those. I can still do it. Don't get me wrong. I can still do it. Like I said, I'm going to look like Hulk Hogan in the spring and go like this. And hey, but the beauty of that is that me, I help the older folks myself. If I can move it, I'll move it. I can still do things, but it's getting to that point now. What really impresses me though is when we go to ceremonies or to workshops, and how the ladies come along. Grandfather, Miss Romas, wait. I thought they're not. I didn't think they're talking to me because I'm sitting with other grandfathers, and they say, Miss Romas. Well, I'm still looking around, and Mr. Monague. Oh, me. Oh, do you want something to eat? Yeah, okay, I'll come and get it. No, you sit there. We'll get it for you. But I have to tell them, don't overload the plate. Because it's in a spirit food, when we remember, how when we do a spirit feast, right? You got to eat it all. You got to eat it all. And then I remember that one time. Oh my God, my plate was so full. I had scone, I had fish, I had moose, I had wild rice. I even had scalloped potatoes in there. And the plate came back. The plate's only about that big. And I'm holding on to it. I'm trying to eat this all. Yos kanamis romas. Abdiko kagatan yo. Oh, grandfather, you have to eat that all. That's what they said. And oh man, I'm struggling. They're struggling to eat it all. Finally, I got to the last piece of fish. I looked around and I said, hey, don't let nobody see you. So you hand it over like that quietly. And then they come and get your plate. Oh, you did a good job. They didn't know I passed on my fish. It's not that I don't like fish. Oh, I love fish. I love fish. And we think about that, and think about that food. And I like to eat. I like cooking too. By the way, if anybody knows that I know how to cook, I clean house, wash my floors, wash my clothes. So those are that's the thing I wanted to add. That's the one of the things I wanted to add. When I was growing up, my mother always told me I had to do these things. And these are one of the things that she taught me, is to take care of my house. He said, one day you want to be able to look after your house, you got to do it yourself. Back then, we didn't have one of those washing machines that we have now. We had that old ringer washer.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't have electric stove. We had an old wood stove to heat up the water, and a great big aluminum tub. And you had to put that on the stove and let it heat up. Then you put it in the washing machine. Then you had to do it all over again to rinse the clothes. Then you had to hang them out. I did all that. And I knew how to cook. My mom she showed me a few things about cooking, but I usually watched. And so I like cooking. I actually, when I get going at it, I love to do it. I'm there peeling potatoes, doing my carrots. I look at this roast and I think, how much is this? Should I cut this in half and put the rest away, or should I cook it all and slice it up later for later lunch? So I put it in the pot. I put everything in there, a little bit of water, a little bit of spices. Oh, then I eat. Then I phone my daughter. Kath, are you eating? No, come on over. Got a roast on. Okay. So they all come over and eat, grandchildren and all. Then after a while, after a couple of hours, I say, when are you going home? Oh man! And then Papa, my grandson, will say, "Papa, can we have a sleepover?" Of course, my daughter would say, "Hey, Dad, can we sleep over tonight?" And I can't say no to them. So, okay, Papa, I'm sleeping with you. Me too. There's two kids. You got two girls, a girl and a boy. And of course, when they sleep with me, it's I got that much room on the bed. They got the rest.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if I'm lucky.
If-
Yeah, exactly. But my daughter will come and get one of them, and she'll put it down in the bed in the next room. That's where she sleeps. So me and my grandson are sleeping. Sometimes he does move around a lot, so I have to move him too, so I can get my own bed. But sometimes I get mad at my kids, my older girls. I got 4 girls actually, and I have 9 grandchildren, and I believe 10 great grandchildren. And I'm not that old. Let me remind you, I'm not that old. Actually, I'm going into Guinness Book of Records as the youngest great grandfather alive. Yeah, right. Eh? Oh man! But and then everybody said, "How old are you? 35?" Everybody knows how old I am. But I don't feel that old sometimes. I don't, because if you think you're old, you're going to act old. But I can still do things that I used to do 20 years ago. I can still cut wood. I can still do all that stuff. And the beauty of it though is that now they said, Neil, you have to get some help. I said, I'm all right. I said, I exercise. I do the things I need to do just to keep going. And sometimes people will see me walking down the road. Oh, okay, But that's just me though. But I enjoy my life.
Mm-hmm.
How long my life is going to go, I don't know. I got no say in that. Creator will say, okay, Neil, Achichat, it's time for you to come home. Wait a minute, Creator, I'll say, let me have another game of golf before I come. But again, like I said, and then sometimes people ask me, what are you going to do with your house? Oh, that's already been decided. I'm giving it to my first grandchildren, 2 grandchildren that were born. I said, that goes to them. This will be their house. So now I got to find another house that I got to fix up, or maybe they'll maybe I'll use all 4 of them in this house. And they can decide how they're going to deal with it. But I got to teach them how. When I'm gone, I want them not to fight over it. I want them to share it. And that's one of the things that I was taught too, about that sharing part. And that's one of the teachings that we have. One of the grandfather teachings, 7 grandfather teachings about the sharing and understanding. And the beauty of that is that sometimes when somebody says, "Hey Neil, I ran out of sage. You got some?" Well, I'm kind of low myself, but I'll give you some. And they're real happy with that. And then one day I was trying to get out west to get some sage, trying to figure out where am I going to get it. And I haven't met her person to person, but I met her on this program we're dealing with. She comes from Minnesota. She heard, and she made connections with me. So her and I chat once in a while, and we talk back and forth. And she sends me sage when I need it. Voila! And that's how things work. That's how things work. And somebody says, "Hey Neil, you got any bear root?" I said, "I got very little left. I'll see if I can find you some." Because I use a lot of bear root too when I do stuff. I use a lot of it, especially when I'm doing circles, person to person. And the beauty of it is that when we think about that, and but that's how they used to do it a long time ago. When you needed something, people give it to you. And I forget there's got a new thing where pay it back or something like that. Is that how you say that? I can't remember how that's said. But so when you receive something, you also have to send something out in return when somebody needs it. Just kind of like what my wife when I wanted to retire from what I was doing. This was back in I want to say 2014 when I mentioned this, before my wife passed away. I said to her, I said, hon, I'm getting tired. I think I might retire, stop everything. Are you? She said, are you getting tired? I said, yeah. I want to be to spend some time with you here, do the things together. And she, there was a big pause. Then she says, hon, she said, you'll never retire. She said, as soon as that phone rings, people are going to need you. And then you got to go. And I thought about that for a while. Well, we'll see. I said, I say about a week or so. I guess maybe three, maybe 4 days to a week, the phone rang. And we need you, Neil. We need you to come down to be the elder for what we're doing. Oh, I don't know. I said, no. People are asking for you, they said. They want you to sing for us. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, I'll talk to my wife first and I'll call you right back. Okay. So she says, who's that, hon? I said, that's so-and-so. Aha, I told you, she said. They need you, don't they? They need you. I said, yeah. They would like me to go down and do what I do. Okay, she said. And then, of course, I didn't want to go. And then she said, how much are they going to pay you? Because she was kind of worried about the bills too, because, I wasn't really working anymore and she was. And I said, I told her, you know something? She packed my bag and kicked me out the door. She said, get going. Oh my God, we laughed at that. And
well, Neil, we only have a minute left. I think we get booted out at 9. I think we do anyway.
I don't know.
I
don't know how that works. Where's Sherry? Is she there?
I don't know. I just know that I think it's on from 7:30 to 9, I believe, and I think sometimes they'll just boot us off. So just letting you know in case all of a sudden.
Okay, no, that's all right. That's fine. I'm glad I met you, and glad everybody. If you're all there,
yeah.
I say. Well, we can't do that anymore. She's gone.
Oh, that's. Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to thank everybody for allowing me to be part of your evening. And Gail, it's nice to meet you. And
yes, you as well, Neil.
You got anything to add to final close?
Well, no, I'm just so glad that we had this opportunity as well, and I think we know a little bit more about each other now, certainly more than when we first came together. So yeah, it's thank you so much for the support you give Grandmother's Voice, and we look forward to having Renee back. And
yeah, I wonder if I'd be able to do that traveling song for everybody before we close.
Well, let's try it.
Okay, I'm going to give it a try.
Okay.
Remember, there's no word for goodbye in our languages. This is a traveling song. Abamapi. Abamapi giwa menon. Abamapi giwa menon. Abamapi giwa menon. Abamapi giwa menon. way ah hey, way ah hey oh, way ah way ah hey oh, way ah way ah hey oh, way ah way ah hey oh. Mama piggy wamena, mama piggy wamena, mama piggy wamena, mama piggy wamena. Way ah hey, way ah hey oh, way ah way ah hey oh, way ah way ah hey oh. Hey, hey, ah, hey, ah, hey, 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 ah, hey, ah, hey, oh. Hey, ah.
Ah, beautiful.
There's
Yes.
it. Have a good night, everybody.
Yes. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for
Us.
joining us tonight.
Later, we will see each other again. Bamapi.
Yeah. Hola.
Adios, amigos and amiguettes.
Beautiful.
Nice to meet you, Gail. Take care. Have a good one.